Hi everyone, welcome back to the art room. Mrs. Nolte here. Today's project, which is our end of the year activity, we're going to be making Kumihimo bracelets. So for everyone, you should have received a little baggie in your kits that came home. Each classroom teacher bagged up your classroom supplies, any art projects that we had been working on, and a baggie. I did this for grades K through 4. My kindergartners, I did not put Kumihimo kits in there. This is a little more complex for the kinders, so I left them out. However, if you would like a kit, I do have a number of extra kits left over. If you send me an email, I'll send you an address and you can swing by and pick one up for your kids. For my friends who did get them, if you have an older sibling or a younger sibling that didn't get one, or if you didn't get one, somehow we missed putting one in the bag, just send me a note and I'll give you instructions on how to pick one up. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I usually do these at the end of the year for everybody. I miss you guys and I wanted to do something fun for the end of the year project. Your packets will have 9 strands of yarn. We did red, white, and blue for everyone. It'll have a template to make a Kumihimo loom, and it will also have a little instruction sheet. This video is going to be a step-by-step. It would probably be a little easier to watch it as we go through. You can also follow along on the printed step-by-step. If you have any problems, just send me an email and I'll try to help you, walk you through it. Everyone have a great summer. If you're doing this at the end of June. Otherwise, we have a couple more projects coming up this year. Hope you have a great time, everybody. Enjoy the Kumihimos. Good job. Bye. Enjoy the video. Hi friends, welcome back to the art room. Mrs. Nolte here. We are making Kumihimo weavings for the end of the year project. You should have received a little kit that has 9 strands of yarn, a sheet that kind of talks about Kumihimos, a template to use to trace to make a loom. You're going to need to provide a piece of chipboard. And chipboard can be found in a lot of packaging. I happen to use a cereal box that I cut into a square for my chipboard loom. You're going to trace your template onto the chipboard, cut around the circle. You're going to need to add the little slits. There are 8 of them and they need to be equally spaced. We're going to pop a hole in the center of the chipboard. This is where I would get an adult to help you. Then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut these little slits so that you have 8 of them. Be super, super careful you don't cut into the center, because if you cut into the center, it's going to weaken the loom and it's going to fall apart really fast. So you received 9 strands of yarn. You are only going to need 7 for this project. Here I'm lining up my yarn so that the ends all are the same length on one end of the yarn. So I have all 7, my ends are lined up. I'm going to create a knot at the bottom of these ends. Make a U with your yarn. It should look like a U shape. Take the ends and pull it across so that you could create an O shape. Then we're going to take the ends and come around and bring it up through the middle of the O. And I'm going to gently make a knot, tie it together. I'm going to slide the knot down towards the end because I want to try not to have a really long tail on this side. It shouldn't be longer than your finger. Now I'm going to take the knot and I'm going to pop it through the center of my loom. And I'm going to pull it a little bit so that the knot is kind of up by the circle. I'm going to use the printed side of the cardboard on the back and the blank side facing me. So now I'm going to organize my strands of yarn. I want to make a pattern in my Kumihimo, so I'm going to group the colors together. You don't need to group them. You can make them random. Or if you group them, you're going to get a different type of patterning as you weave. So I'm going to group them by color. So I have my red, my blue, and my white. I'm going to make sure that the knot is fairly tight up against the loom and that my strings are untangled. You may notice that we have one empty one and that not all the little slots are filled with yarn. You want to have one empty and your yarn shouldn't be tangled. Make sure that the knot's up close, and then we're ready to begin our weaving. So at the top of your loom, I usually leave the 12 o'clock for my empty spot, right up at the top. Then I look at it as a clock and I go around the clock face. I have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3. 1, 2, 3. So 12, 1, 2, 3. You're going to take your third string and put it into the empty slot at the top. Then you're going to turn your loom to the right, and I'm going to count down backwards 3, 1, 2, 3, and put it in the empty slot at the top. Turn your wheel, count down 3, 1, 2, 3. It's going to go into the empty slot. I'm going to give it a little tug to make sure that the knot is dropping down, and I'm going to untangle. Keep an eye on it because sometimes they'll start to twist around each other and then it's really hard to untangle it. Make sure it looks like a jellyfish. Okay, 12 o'clock at the top, 1, 2, 3, pop and put it into the 12 o'clock spot. After a while, you're not even going to have to say it in your head, you're just going to feel it. So make sure you turn it so that the 12 o'clock is at the top, and every once in a while give the knot a little tug and untangle. 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, pop, back up into 12, turn, 1, 2, 3, pop into the 12 o'clock, turn, 1, 2, 3, and put it in the 12 o'clock spot. And just keep turning it and give it, every once in a while, give it a little tug. Make sure that that little knot's dropping. So depending on how tightly you weave, this will go really fast, or if you are a tighter weaver, it may go just a tiny bit slower, but everyone has their own tension when they weave. You want to make sure you give it a little tug every once in a while, the knot. You'll start to see the weaving. It's going to come down through the middle of the loom. $12 o'clock at the top, third string up, third string up, third string up, pull. And I'm just going to repeat. And every once in a while, I'm going to make sure that I give that little tug in the middle so that the knot pulls down. Oop. There we go. Oh, see, I'm starting to tangle. So I got to jiggle my jellyfish and make sure that untangles. Oh, look, see, you're already starting to see the pattern underneath. Looking good. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead. So I've done a little more weaving, so you don't have to sit here and watch me weave. I've probably got about 2 inches here, 2.5, 3 inches. And you can see the pattern that was developing. So I'm going to continue the process, and I'm going to keep weaving where I go 3 strings down, bring it up to 12 o'clock. And sometimes this is where folks say, hey, where do I stop? So it's really up to you if you want to make a necklace out of this. You want it to be really long. If you want to wear it as a bracelet, I'm going to do mine as a bracelet. It's going to be a little bit shorter. And just remember to untangle as you're working. All right, so how do I know how far I need to go? Well, what I usually do, and this is super scientific, is I wrap it around my wrist to see if I can tell how long it is. And then I keep going until I think I can tie off the ends. So we have a couple of ways to finish this up. One is to tie a knot with it, and the other is to use a safety pin. So the first thing I want to do is get this off the loom. So I'm going to carefully pop all the strings off. And I need to tie a knot at the end that we just took off the loom so it doesn't unravel. And what I'm going to do is the exact same thing that we did when we tied it before, where I'm going to pull the strings together. I'm going to make a U shape. Okay, I'm going to take this long tail, bring it over. So I make an O. Take the tail through the back of the O, and I'm not going to tie it tight in the beginning because I want to be able to slide the knot to the end of where the weaving is. I don't want to cover over a lot of that weaving that I did, and then I'm going to pull it tight. So now both ends have a little knot on it so that it won't unravel on you. And I have a pretty good sized tail on the other end. That's all the extra. So I've done these so many times I could kind of tell how long it was going to be. I'm going to use a safety pin to tie this off. You can put a safety pin on one end of the knot, and this is where you're going to need to have somebody help you, but I'm home alone today and I didn't have a second set of hands, so we're going to put the safety pin on the other side. Please have somebody in your house help you out so you don't pin yourself. And that's a good way to hold it. That way you can take it off and save it and not wreck it, and then cut the extra tail off. This was one way. Okay. Another way is going to be to actually tie the two pieces together like a knot. And if you're going to do that, you may want to make the Kumihimo weaving a little bit longer, but you can just tie a little knot in it. Okay. I don't cut anything until I've tested it and make sure it actually fits, because once you cut it, you can't go back. So here's my tail that I cut off. I'm going to save this because you could probably make a second Kumihimo out of it. There might be enough. There's my knot. That works pretty well, but I tend to like the safety pin method to hold on. You can also buy clasps like on Amazon, but I didn't want to have us have to buy any extra materials. So this looks pretty cool with the pattern that I made by grouping the colors together. If you look at it, it really made a very interesting pattern. I'm going to put this back on with the safety pin one more time to show you. You're going to slide the pin onto one knot on one end, and then you're going to wrap it around your wrist. And I'm going to highly suggest, if you have someone at your house who can do this with you or for you, I would do it and not pin yourself like I did to me. Unfortunately, I was home alone today. Nobody was in the house to help me out, so I just had to do it on my own. So that's my finished Kumihimo. If you find that you love making these, those were a do-it-yourself loom that you can do at home with regular household yarn. Amazon also sells, or Michael's may carry them as well, or Hobby Lobby, which is a beadsmith Kumihimo plates. They're foam plates that are numbered for more detailed Kumihimo. So if you find that you really enjoyed this and it might be a fun thing to experiment with over the summer, there are a ton of videos on YouTube that'll talk you through more complex designs, flat weavings, round weavings, some that have a herringbone pattern. It's a great fun activity for the summer. You can also buy a different string. We used yarn on this one, but you can also purchase embroidery floss, which is a lot smoother and shinier, which you can see in this picture here. So I hope you enjoyed this. I like making this video, and I love this project. It's always a fun end of the year project. Sorry that we couldn't do this in person. Hope you have a great summer, everyone, and enjoy your Kumihimos. And don't forget to share. Take care. Bye.